Thanks for joining me again for our daily Bible study. I am Matthew Gage, pastor here at Faith Baptist Church in Decatur, Texas, and we are going to be in Genesis chapter number 9 today and dealing with the events that take place after the end of the flood and after the people begin to repopulate the earth, and we'll look at the events that take place there. So, where we pick up, Noah has just left the ark and the animals have left the ark. Noah has offered a sacrifice to God, and God has reacted and made a promise about not destroying the earth, and he's going to build on that a little bit more as we go in. And that's where we pick up Genesis chapter 9, verse number 1, is that God is talking to Noah. And we'll be looking at kind of what's called it's kind of a covenant between God and Noah, God and humankind here, setting the stage for the world following and some of the requirements, expectations that God is going to have on the world. So, chapter number 9 of Genesis, verse number 1. And God blessed Noah and his sons and said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, and upon every fowl of the air, upon all that moveth upon the earth, and upon all the fishes of the sea. Into your hand are they delivered. Every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you, even as the green herb have I given you all things. So, first commands are to, hey, here's the earth. Go out, subdue it, take control of it. What are the animals there for? They're there, but you can eat them. You can care for them. Those are the things that are given here. The responsibility is given to Noah and his descendants. Verse 4. But flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall ye not eat. And surely your blood of your lives will I require at the hand of every beast will I require it, and at the hand of man, at the hand of every man's brother will I require the life of man. A couple things that are brought out here. Now, this is where we start to see something sacred about the blood. And this will be built on further when we get to the book of Leviticus and other passages. But here we see there's something sacred about the blood. The blood, talking about eating here, it's okay to eat, but the restriction was saying eat meat, but not with blood. That's something the Jewish cuisine is of course, famous for, and God will get to that when we get to the Mosaic Law. Why is that? Well, because there's something sacred. The scripture says the life of the flesh is in the blood. So it's a picture of the life and so many other things. I don't want to chase that rabbit. This isn't a study of that. But I just want to point out that there is this thing. And then we have in verse number 5 and continuing verse number 6, that your blood of your lives will I require, saying that your life will be required of you as penalty for crime, and whether that be at the hands of the beast, natural law kind of taking effect, or even at the hand of man. And that's when we get in verse 6. Whosoever sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed, for in the image of God made he man. Here we have the rudimentary origins of human government, is that we have saying there's one great law: do not murder, do not kill. If you kill, then you are subject to a death penalty, because that's the line you do not cross in killing another individual. So that is developed here, and here and in the following passages we'll see these kind of statements. But here's the origins of that. Verse 7, and be ye fruitful, and multiply, bring forth abundantly in the earth, and multiply therein. In spite of these regulations saying, go, live your life, have bountiful crops, have growing herds, go live your life, multiply, care for the earth. Verse number 8, God continues, God spake unto Noah and to his sons with him, saying, And I, behold, I establish my covenant with you, and with your seed after you, and with every living creature that is with you, of the fowl of the cattle, of every beast of the earth with you, from all that go out of the ark to every beast of the earth. And I will establish my covenant with you, neither shall all flesh be cut off any more by the waters of a flood, neither shall there be neither shall there any more be a flood to destroy the earth. So you see here the word covenant. Covenant is an agreement. It's kind of like a contract, if you will, that God is making with mankind. God's making some agreements, some promises, and the first of these is, I'm not going to destroy the world by flood again. I'm not cutting off all of the world again in this manner. Verse 12, and God said, this is the token of the covenant which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations. I do set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a token of a covenant between me and the earth. What was that talking about? Well, it appears to be talking about the rainbow. And we see that depicted so often in the imagery around Noah's Ark, that the rainbow, the promise that God says, I will not destroy the earth again. And after we have a storm come through, and even if it's very destructive, a lot of times you look in the air and you'll see that rainbow. Now, science will say, yes, that's light being refracted by water droplets in the air and being projected out and seeing that, which I would point out to being that I think that's also a sign that the world had changed. The atmosphere had changed. Things were different. The mechanism is no longer in place to flood the earth that there was before. Which is interesting, and we'll point this out too. So what do we have as a sign of peace? A rainbow. In the previous chapter, I thought about this, I didn't mention it, but a couple of more signs for peace. A dove, an olive branch. Where does that imagery stem from? Right here in the scriptures. Those are symbols of peace that we still see today. It depicted in artwork and depicted in symbols for the UN and different entities. A dove, a rainbow, an olive branch. So we see these kind of things still being used today. Verse number 14, and it shall come to pass when I bring a cloud over the earth that the bow shall be seen in the cloud. We've talked about that before. Verse 15, now remember my covenant which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh, that the waters shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. And the bow shall be in the cloud, and I will look upon it, that I may remember the everlasting covenant between God and every living creature of all flesh that is upon the earth. So we have this symbol, God looking down upon earth and man looking up towards the heavens. Both can see this symbol, this sign, this seal, if you will, on the covenant that is made. God says, I will not destroy the earth by flood again. And we can look up and see the promise that God will not do that again, all in the rainbow. Verse number 17. And God said to Noah, this is the token of the covenant which I've established between me and all flesh that is upon the earth. So once again, talking about that's the seal, that's the signature on it. This is what makes it official. Verse number 18. And the sons of Noah that went forth of the ark were Shem and Ham and Japheth. And Ham is the father of Canaan. That's a detail that will become important here in a little bit. We'll get into the next chapter with some of the genealogy, but right here that's important to know. These are the three sons of Noah, verse 19, and of them was the whole earth overspread. And Noah began to be an husbandman, and he planted a vineyard. He drank of the wine and was drunken, and he was uncovered within his tent. So here Noah, what does he do? Well, one of the things he does is he does something bad. God gave us grapes to eat. God gave us the fruit of the field to be sustenance, nourishment to us, not just for the vitamins and minerals and sustenance, but also to enjoy. But Noah takes it a step further and is now gone into sinful territory, I believe. The scriptures are pretty clear on that getting drunk is a sin. So Noah here is got drunk. He's in a incapacitated state, and he is laying there, looks like naked, no clothes. Verse number 22. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father and told his two brethren without. Ham walks in and sees this. Now, I've heard some different theories on what happens here. I don't really know. The details are very sparse. I've heard some speculation. Did he do something to his father? Did he come out and just mock him? Whatever it is, it's not good. Something that should never been done, never been said, never been seen. Verse 23, and Shem and Japheth took a garment and laid it upon both their shoulders and went backward and covered the nakedness of their father, and their faces were backward, and they saw not their father's nakedness. So Shem and Japheth said, going in, partaking in this sinful, immoral behavior that their brother did. Instead, they go in and just an act of kindness, of mercy towards their father. They try to cover up what he did, cover him up so his sinful state, his indiscretion, I guess you could say, in getting drunk is covered up. Verse 24, and Noah awoke from his wine and knew what his younger son had done unto him. Like I said, what is that? I wish I knew. I really don't want to speculate too much. There's theories out there on that, but Noah wakes up, he realizes what has happened, and there's going to be a result of that. Because Ham has disrespected his father, there's going to be a consequence to that. And we see that here in verse number 25. And he said, cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren. So he says, now that's interesting too, he's not cursing necessarily Ham, but a particular descendant of Ham, and saying Canaan is going to be lesser than his relatives. He's going to be subject to them, a servant to them. Verse number 26, and he said, Noah continuing, blessed be the Lord God of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant, so that Shem will be the greater, Canaan will be under him. And God, verse 27, God shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. So once again, Japheth here is magnified, and that Canaan is something lesser in this. So the destiny of these descendants of Noah is given right here, and this is something we'll see begin to bear out in the following chapter. Verse number 28. And Noah lived after the flood 350 years, and all the days of Noah were 950 years, and he died. So Noah here is one of the last people to live to this age. We'll see this bear out by the time, especially by the time we get to Abraham in a few chapters. Abraham will not live nearly this long. Noah is one of the last of this generation, and these people born after the flood are going to begin to live less and less, shorter and shorter lifespans. So there we go. That sets the stage. We have mankind getting established after the flood, the commission by God to go out and repopulate, replenish the earth, the duties that they have. We also see the covenant between God and man made, that he's not going to destroy the world by flood again. And then we see the lapse of judgment by Noah and the consequences of Ham's indiscretion and how that plays out on his family line. So there we go. A good summary there of chapter number 9. So I appreciate you watching, and I hope it's been a help and a blessing to you.